Salam alaikum, everyone. I want to welcome you to another episode of Zoom In on the Halal Metropolis. I'm Sally Howell. I'm the director of the Center for Arab American Studies at the U of M Dearborn. And I'm here today talking with Maha Freij, who is the executive director of Access, the Arab Community Center for Economic and Social Services in Dearborn. How are you doing, Maha?
I'm doing great. It's so good to see you, Sally.
Well, I thank you for talking to us. Yeah, I have to just say here at the start that I got my start at Access. I started working there in 1987. So I go way back with Access. But I have not been able to keep up with all the amazing work you're doing because the organization just grows and does more every single year. So, well, I was going to ask you how you're doing personally, but why don't we just jump into Access? How is Access doing right now? What are all the things that you're doing to help people out in this crisis?
Thank God. I thank God every day for the work of Access and for me being blessed to have or to play a small part in that with the rest of my colleagues and the volunteers that we work with, including you, Sally. So the name of the game really, when there is a pandemic like this, that there is a lot of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And so paying attention to how you can do your work and how you can make sure that the people you care about, both your employees and the community that you serve, are comfortable and that are being supported while they are figuring it out, is something that we put a lot of attention into. As you know, everybody had to work remotely. It's not something people are used to, and there is a lot of uncertainty from all types of directions. But then the organization itself really played a leadership role. I'm very proud of the leadership role Access is doing, because it transformed the questions that it asked itself from how do we maintain, which is a very important question, how do we maintain our work, the work we already do on the ground, between the case management, workforce development, health programs, mental health, all that needed to be done remotely, which is new to us, obviously. So while we figured out all that, we didn't stop there. And we designed and added new programs that were in a response to the current moment that we are in, and they include multiple areas. We have a COVID testing project in partnership with Wayne State University and their physicians group, where we provided testing for over a month and a half now for first responders and healthcare providers. And now we have a mobile testing kind of clinic, it's not exactly a clinic, but service that goes especially to underserved communities that are hit very hard with this disease and they don't have access to testing. Yeah. That's one thing we are doing and we are very proud of. The other thing is, as part of our programming, Access sees 2,000 kids a day. We work in 25 schools in 5 cities, and we see 2,000 kids a day, and a lot of times the meal that we give these kids are the only good meal they eat as part of our program. So we designed a grab-and-go dinner, which we do until now for all the kids that we don't see them in school, but we made sure that they are having access to their nutritious meals. We had a campaign. We raised a good amount of funds that are designed to support the families that, due to the interruption in their work, they are usually hourly workers, and they were fine. They didn't need our help. But then when they were laid off and waiting for the stimulus and the unemployment checks to come in, they didn't have the reserves that will carry them another week. So we had a campaign, we called it the Food and Basic Needs Campaign, where the all 100% of the money that we raised went in support of these families, and it's done in a not one-time it's not like a dinner during Ramadan and we turn our head after that. It's really the families are being assessed, and it's done in a quiet way where they get some type of an email, a certificate, and they go to some of the major shops within the community that have multiple things between food and other things, also medications, you know, diapers, formula for the kids. They go and they pick what they need and they go home. And we are helping hundreds of families with this program. And it's designed that in a way where 100% of the money that are raised are being directed to helping these families. At the Center for Arab American Philanthropy, we made sure that our grant making is done right now versus waiting till September. So the organizations that we fund, you know, can be helped while they are going through a hard time. So we just made $80,000 grants to arts and culture and social service organization. And I'm not sure how many, actually, I don't remember the exact number. I'm not part of the grant making structure, but I'm part of how much money is given. But most likely we supported between 16 to 20 organizations. And they are all over the country. The National Network for Arab American Communities did weekly webinars. So the national network member organizations all over the country, you know, talk to each other, learn how to work remotely, you know, best practices. We got speakers, people like you talking to them. The museum had to transform its work to remote. So it's, I think it was both, I guess, to answer you, it's both transforming how we do our work that we used to do in the best way we can, but also introducing programs that didn't exist before, or making them sharper and bigger because they are having much more need.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen in other parts of the country, I've seen photographs, and I know this is happening here too, but some of the more dramatic photographs have been of like thousands of cars lined up at food pantries, you know, cars lined up for miles on the highway, people waiting in line for food pantries. I mean, the sudden cessation of work and all these people who live paycheck to paycheck, you know, who, as you're saying, were doing fine, but there was no support network for them at all. All these people are just suddenly
network. Yeah, and they don't have reserves. They don't have, you know, a reserve that will carry them 2 months. You know,
I'm hearing, you know, a lot of people, if they have to get tested for COVID, maybe not people in the medical front line, but, you know, people who work in the food industry, or some of them are having to pay like out of pocket $150 to get tested. So the needs of people, the needs are just amazing right now. And I would not expect you guys to do anything less than you're doing, but it is challenging because not only are you, you're trying to restructure the nature of your own work. So you had to get your staff the equipment they needed to be able to work from home.
Absolutely.
And so many of your staff have small children at home, and they're trying to struggle to take care of their kids and educate their kids. At the same time, they're struggling to work and help the needs of the community. So I guess this is where I should ask how you are doing. How are you personally doing? How is your husband Roy doing? How are your kids doing? I mean, how are you guys coping?
We are doing great, actually. Thank God. No complaints. I mean, you know, we are not out of the norm in terms of the moment we are living in. You know, if anybody tells you, I know what's going to happen, they are a fool, you know. So the impact of this at our universe and who we are and how society looks like, it's still to be seen. So from that perspective, it's not on a personal level necessarily, but in general, you know, it's very, but personally, thank God. I mean, I agree with you, Sally. We are both at a stage in our lives where we didn't have to deal with little kids. I know from my colleagues how hard it is to have 3 kids at home that need to be homeschooled, and you know that you need to structure the time and still do your work. I don't know how they do it. I give them so much credit. Mine are, you know, young adults, they are young men, and they actually don't live with us. But they are doing great, thank God. My youngest is working from home, and he's managing with his job, and me and Roy are working from home, both of us. And then my oldest son is really finishing medical school, and he's gonna move to Chicago the end of the month, in a couple of weeks. So he's excited. I mean, there is no hoopla about a major undertaking that he just finished, unfortunately. But he's pretty happy that he landed a residency in a place that he wanted, and he's excited about it. So I'm happy for him. So thank God, everything is good at the house level.
I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate, both of us, like you said, that our children are grown and we don't have to deal with that struggle, but also that we can work from home and we're still getting our paychecks. And for me, I find that the work I'm doing right now is keeping me sane. If I weren't doing this kind of work, I would be I don't know what I would be doing. I would probably be wallowing in self-pity and misery. So alhamdulillah, I have the opportunity to keep my mind focused. Well, I'm just, I know that it's Ramadan, and that a lot of people are focusing their annual giving right now for the holiday. And I just want you to be able to tell people about something. So you mentioned that you've been raising money through the philanthropic organization.
For New Americans Fund,
yeah. But I just wanted,
the food and basic support.
Yeah, great. So are you also getting money from the state? Did you get money through the CARES Act?
Not like this. We have, as you know, we had for a million years, this one grant from the federal government. It's like $50,000 a year that supports, we call it emergency services, like it supports people with a rent for 1 month, but you have to prove you have to work the next month. And it doesn't really apply for, it has so much red tape that you have to go through, and we go through it because there is need and it has its own constituency. This is different. This is the money comes from individuals, so it's flexible. And what we tell people, and we keep our word, that there is no admin cost, not one penny, not one little penny. I mean, we really believe that that it's gonna protect access, that it's like that act of kindness. And we launched it initially. So Access always did the program that you are talking about, which we call it food and shelter, the food and shelter program, through that federal grant, which is, it's been $50,000 a year since we started at Access a million years ago, you and me. But to me, in 2016, when the Syrian refugees started coming to Michigan, and I saw how that program couldn't help them because they didn't have paperwork, right? They are not working. They cannot show, I can take care of my rent next month. You have to show you can. It's a one-time thing. And then they might need help 6 months, not 1 month. They need a car. They need insurance, because the insurance is so expensive when you don't have credit. The government, when they come in, they'll give them an X amount of money, and their expenses, even if they want to live like up to the bones, are twice that X. So math didn't match. And I saw them coming to Access, and we help them. We have everything. We have the workforce development people trying to get them a job, the English teachers teaching them English, the case managers, the mental health people. Everybody is helping them. But when people came to say, this person, they are short, their rent is $900 and the government gives them $300. I didn't have anything in the budget, and people don't believe it, because it's $28 million budget. I didn't have that $500 difference to give them to support them with their rent. They didn't qualify for that program.
I understand.
So that's when we launched it. And we launched it around 25 families at the time. And so we got them, so we helped them unlimited pretty much. And we went to the community and we said, we want to help we initially limited it to 25 Syrian families the first year, but then it's for everybody. I mean, we called it building blocks for new Americans, you know. So if you are a new American, so, you know, you can be, I don't know where you are from.
You could be from Guatemala, Venezuela, anywhere.
And it's done with the long-term look at your needs. There is a case management. We know what's happening with your family. We know what you are going through. We know what your income, we know what your limitations are. It's not freebie, you know, but with that cohort of 25 families, we were able to help them, to get them their first cars, to help them with the rent for 6 months, 8 months, you know. Then after that, it became something we thought if we want to be an organization that really is making a difference in this area, we have to have that kind of funding. Yeah. And of course, it slowed down because people moved on when it comes to their donations, you see. But it kept coming, and that was it was used in a very, very good way, where our case managers who deal with that program, they'll use the federal stuff for the people who qualify. And then you get somebody from Sudan who was gang raped and with 4 kids, and, you know, she's a client at our sexual assault program, and, you know, her house got burned, and like that program would have helped her for 1 month. Yeah, we carried her through BBNA 6 months until we managed to get her Section 8 housing. Yeah. You see what I mean? That's the power of this program. Yeah, I love it.
People need security. A month-to-month help is help month-to-month, but it doesn't resolve people's anxiety and concern about their own future. You know, so what you're doing is you're treating the whole person, so that the whole person, that the whole person can feel confident in their future, and that this is, I mean, this is a huge help. Well, so we're actually running out of time here, so I want to make sure that you will email me the link to this, so that when I will put the link to this so people can give. And especially, I know it's Ramadan, this is a great place for people to put their money. You can hear directly from Maha how it's helping individual families from all over the world. There's no discrimination about which groups get services and which groups don't. So, well, I just want to thank you again, Maha, for talking to us. And I want to thank you for all the work you do. And I want to send hugs to everyone at Access, virtual hugs, for the work that you've been doing for, you know, I don't know how many years now. We're not at
30 years.
I was gonna say it has to be 30, but I didn't want to say more than that. But yeah,
it's not more than that. It's 30 years. I mean, that's a lot of years.
It is a lot of years. It is a lot of years, and I know you've probably been there for 25 of them, probably.
No, I've been there 30 years. Access is gonna be 50 years old next month.
So it is going to be 50. Okay, yeah, because I've been doing this for 30 years, and I started in '87. So So yeah, you've been there for a long time. Well, anyway, I you know, my hat is off to you. I wish you a Ramadan Kareem, and
Ramadan Mubarak to everybody who observes. And inshallah, it will be a blessed month. I know it's hard, and inshallah next Ramadan, it will be totally different than this one.
Exactly. Totally. All right. Well, take care, Maha. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much, Sally. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.